Hello guys and welcome back to Bookmas. Today I'm in my guest room and I'm sorry if you hear my boyfriend, fiance, yelling in the back. That's because he is watching football. So today I'm going to help you with some books you can read to get into reading. I have a bunch of different, sorry I wrote them down, of a bunch of different genres for you. The only thing I don't get into is like nonfiction, but I have fantasy, romance. Oh, I didn't get literary fiction either, really. But I have fantasy, thriller, and romance. So let's get into it. Let's start with some authors that I think are very good to get into. My first author that I think is pretty good, well, I love her, is Abby Jimenez. These books are romance, but they have much more to them. But the way she writes just keeps me intrigued the whole time. They're fun, fast-paced stories that you're just gonna be intrigued with the whole time. So she has two different interconnected standalone series. She has this one, which is The Friend Zone, The Happy Ever After playlist, and Life's Too Short, which I haven't read Life's Too Short, so I can't recommend those. But these, I really enjoyed both of them, especially the Happy Ever After playlist. This is the book that made me fall in love with her. And then we have this one, which I prefer this series better, and it's Part of Your World and Yours Truly. I don't know if she has any more coming out in this interconnected standalones, but I know that. So what interconnected standalones means, if you're a beginner, is that means though this one's first, Part of Your World, comes before this, you can read them out of order. You don't even, if you read this and you think, no, I'm not interested in that, you can read this if you are. That's what I did with this. I wasn't interested in the first book, so I read this first and then went back, which I don't recommend because they're both good, but like a big thing that happens in this you already know if you read this first, but you don't have to. So Abby Jimenez, love her. I will talk about her till the day I die. I think she is a great writer to get into reading because she just is funny and keeps me intrigued the whole time. Now please don't click out of this video. Please don't click out of this video because I know this is going to be controversial. But I think Colleen Hoover is a great gateway into reading. When I read, it's for escapism. It is not because I want to read a book for the literature, something that intrigues me, so like something that makes me think. No, I want to be taken out of this world and the struggles I'm doing here and be brought into something that just makes me just want to keep reading and keeps me hooked. And I think Colleen Hoover is really good about that. Her writing isn't outstanding, out of this world, award-winning, but it's still super fun to read. And now, yes, I don't go back and read Colleen Hoover books because there's just authors I prefer, but I do think she's really good to get into reading. And if you can't admit that, something's wrong with you. Just kidding. Nothing's wrong with you. If you hate Colleen Hoover, that's fine. If you love her, that's fine. I like her. I admit it. I like her. So these, I've read more than this, but these are 4 books of hers that I own. November 9th, is this 5 books? Correction, this is 5 books. November 9th, it was one of my favorites of hers. I just thought the concept was really good, but a lot of people don't like this. So I would say go into Ugly Love first, because this one just, I feel like, keeps you intrigued the whole time. Or a big one of hers that is actually becoming a movie is It Ends With Us. Not This Ends With, It Ends With Us. Isn't that it? Anyway, I feel like this one was a good gateway into getting reading, as well as that one. A lot of people like these ones the best. I really liked, I think my favorite one is Hopeless. I feel like this is just such a beautiful story. They have a new cover now, so you don't have to deal with this girl. I ordered it thinking I was getting the new cover, and they sent me the old ones. And then this one is the second one in the series, but it's literally the same story, just in the male's point of view. So there's those, and then there's Confess that I also own, which I thought was also really interesting because it's about an artist who paints people's confessions, which is just really interesting in my thing. But I've read a couple more of them that I don't own, and I'm going to talk about one of her other books later on. But I think she's a good gateway into reading. I really think she is. Now, Christina Lauren. You guys also know I love Christina Lauren. I own a whole bunch of her books, but the two main ones I'm going to suggest you read if you want to get into reading is Love in Other Words, which is her most popular, I would say. A lot of people really love this book, even if they don't love other Christina Lauren books. I thought it was good. I prefer some of her other ones, but it is really good. As well as The Soulmate Equation. This is one of my favorites from her, and I loved it. It got me hooked on her. It's actually two best friends that write together, Christina and Lauren, but they go by Christina Lauren. And I think she's another just easy one that keeps you hooked, but you don't have to think too hard when reading. And for me, I'm not someone who wants to go into a book while thinking too hard. And I feel like you don't have to. If you think reading's a chore, it shouldn't be for you. You're reading the wrong books. Try these. So those are people I think would be really good that write romances. Now for thrillers, I think you should go into Frida McFadden. She is super easy, keeps you intrigued the whole time. Her twists are amazing. I never guess them. So I think Frida McFadden is really good for thrillers. I don't own any of hers in person, but I've read multiple of hers, and they're really fun. And I still read hers. She's one of my go-to thriller. She is my go-to thriller author because I love her thrillers. So I think you should try her out. I would recommend The Housemaid. Most people really love that one, but my favorite is Never Lie. Yeah, my favorite's Never Lie, but I've also read The Inmate. That one wasn't as good, but it was a really good ending. But Never Lie. Read Never Lie. Now I'm going to talk about some individual books. We're going to go skip back to romance real quick, and I'm going to talk about these two books that I think would be really good if you want to get into romance. I have The Love Wager by Lynn Painter. This book, again, super fast, kept me intrigued, made me giggle, kick my feet. This does have spice in it. Lynn Painter does have YA, but this one does not. As well as the other books I showed you, all those have spice in it too. If you don't want spice, I don't have any for you today. Sorry about that. That's awkward. Anyway, this one is about a girl and a boy who meet, and they have a one-night stand, but then they agree they're not really interested in each other. They'll just be friends, and they have a bet or a wager going on to see who can find their true love first. So it's them and they get together after every date and talk about the person and if they found their true love or not. And I thought it was really cute and a fun concept. Then I have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I would recommend this one as well as Love Theoretically if you want to read one of her books. I put this one first because this one's, I think, her most popular one. And what I'm talking about, I feel is a lot on Book Talk because Book Talk books intrigue people. And I'm not ashamed of that. I read Book Talk books all the time. That's how I find reads. That's okay. But The Love Hypothesis. This is about a girl who's trying to tell her friend, you can date my ex, that's fine, I'm so over him. And she's like, I don't believe you. So she grabs the first person she sees and kisses him, which ends up being Adam Carlson, who is actually one of her professors, but he's not her professor. He's just a professor where she's getting her PhD. So there is a little bit of that, but then it goes into fake dating. I love fake dating. I know it's not for some people. My mom doesn't love fake dating, but I think it's so fun. I love it. I love fake dating. So The Love Hypothesis. Read it. Okay, now going into thrillers. I mentioned Frida McFadden. This is more of a mystery, but this I feel like is a easy read, like keeps you intrigued. It's the Natural series. So it's The Naturals, and then it goes to Killer Instinct, All In, and Bad Blood. This is my favorite Jennifer Lynn Barnes books. I know the Inheritance Games is probably more popular, but these ones just keep me intrigued more. I feel like the Inheritance Games is a little hard to get into sometimes. So I would definitely recommend these. This is about a girl with special abilities. She is like a profiler. If you've ever watched Criminal Minds, that's what they do there. They're FBI profilers, and that's what she can do. So then she is found by the government, and they're like, hey, do you want to get in this program of teenagers who have these special abilities? So she is there along with another profiler, but there's some other teenagers in the program that aren't profilers. They do other stuff, and they're just all so great, and I love them all so much, and they kept me intrigued the whole time. So easy to read. They are YA, so these ones actually don't have smut in them. I lied. Well, these aren't really romances. They do have a romance subplot, but it's not the biggest thing. So if you're not a romance girly, these ones won't be that bad for you. Or if you're a romance girly and you want to get in to like some mystery, I would definitely recommend these, because there is that hint of romance that will still keep you on your toes, but it's not like the biggest part in them at all. So The Naturals, read it. I love this series. Okay, now going into fantasy. I have two series here that I think are very good for beginners, especially if you're into romance and you want to get into fantasy, these are great, as well if you just don't know what to read, but fantasy sounds interesting. I have the Caraval series. This is about it's like this magical, like, carnival type thing, but it's not a carnival. I don't really know how to describe it. It's this magical thing that it's hard to tell what's real and what's fake when you go into it, and you're going to win a prize. So this girl goes, it was her dream to go, so her and her sister go together to this, and stuff happens. She gets split from her sister, and she needs to find her sister while being in Caraval. It has this magical realism in it, like it could be reality, but it's not type thing, and I loved it. I loved all of them. I gave them 4 stars each. I don't think it was 5 stars, but I still really loved all of them. This follows the first sister, and then, Legendary follows the second sister, and then this kind of follows both of them. And they do have romance in it, but there's also like more of like adventure and stuff like that. And I really recommend it. This is YA, so this is my spice free as well. Now, this one is pretty predictable, but I have the ACOTAR series. If you don't know what this is about a girl who is trying to survive, fend for her family, and she kills a wolf. And this wolf ends up being fae, which means it's magical, it's not really a wolf. And so another wolf being comes to get her because it's illegal to kill a fae. So he comes and takes her from her family. And then it's like that. It does have romance in it. It does have spice, so beware of that. But this series is so good, especially if you get through the first book. I know the first half of it can be a little boring. It's like, okay, she's just stuck in this magical place. But then it gets good, I promise, and you'll get hooked for the rest of the series. My favorite is A Core of Silver Flames, which is actually about her sister, not about her. Feyre, the main girl in ACOTAR, is the main one for the first 4, and then the 5th book it's not. And this is not a completed series. There are more coming out, and it does kind of leave you on a cliffhanger, but not like too bad. You'll be okay, I promise. And I know they're thick and scary, but they're really easy to read, and I totally recommend them. You should definitely get into them. So those are the books I recommend for people starting to read. I hope that's helpful. If you have any more questions about books you want to get into, just ask me. I'd love to answer them. Or if you have any suggestions for people, leave them in the comments so others can look through it and get some ideas. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.